SportsOnTapPodcast.com, the place to go where you can listen to past shows, read featured articles, check out all of our social media updates, plus much, much more. SportsOnTapPodcast.com, the official website of Sports on Tap.
For up-to-the-minute info on local high school sports action, including photos, videos, and live updates, be sure to follow Sports on Tap on Twitter, Instagram, and like us on Facebook.
Why do you exercise? To look better? To feel better? To drop a few pounds? To train for an event? To defy age? Or to keep your ability to say yes to the things you love to do? Whatever motivates you, G&G Fitness Equipment is here to get you there. Treadmills, ellipticals, rowers, bikes, home gyms, and accessories. We'll pair you with the right equipment, teach you how to use it, and be there every step of your fitness journey. G&G Fitness. Your goal is our goal.
RRT Productions, specializing in creating sports recruiting videos for all high school athletes. Want to play at the next level? Promote your talents with a video to send colleges. Affordable, experienced, and a high-quality video. Make us your local video production company. Visit our website, rrt-productions.com, and contact us today. RRT Productions, we shoot, we edit, you win.
This is the voice of the Cleveland Monsters, Tony Brown, and you're listening to Sports on Tap.
You're listening to Sports on Tap, presented by RRT Productions. Here are your hosts, Rob Troutman, Josh Jeffy, Ed Dick, and Sean Duffy.
And welcome to Sports on Tap. I'm your host, Rob Troutman. We have Sean Duffy, Josh Jeffy, Ed Dick out on assignment, and it's our regional championship game recaps here on Sports on Tap. And Josh, we're getting to about that time.
We are at that time.
Guys, before we do anything, I think we should take a moment and wish our one and only, the man who's out on assignment.
That's right.
A happy birthday.
Yeah.
Happy birthday, Mr. Ed Dick.
Ed Dick, happy birthday.
I know, and I don't know his exact age, but I can only imagine.
Old. I mean, we're all there.
Yeah, we're all there. It doesn't matter. Age is just a number.
Yeah.
Happy birthday,
Well,
Ed.
not
Hope
just
you
a
have a
number.
great day and a great week. And he always does a great job with our Great Lakes Conference and breaking down everything here with our high school football coverage this year. We're winding it down as we have a show this week and then next Monday, basically.
Wrap up.
Sets up the state championships that will happen the following week.
Yep. Yes, sir.
And it's crazy how quick it is gone. But, Josh, we'll start first with you in Division I. You know,
Region 1.
What a game and what a rematch. Menor and St. Edward.
Yeah, this is a rematch of Week 1 where Menor pulled out a 1-point victory over St. Ed's, and this is how that one would end up. But before we get to the final score, we're going to start with the very beginning of the game. Eagles jumped out to a 14-0 lead early in the game. Then into the second quarter, it was still 14-0. Then Menor, led by Ian Kipp, went on a 99-yard drive, and there was completed for a touchdown. Luke Floria hit a 57-yard TD pass. He caught that from Ian Kipp. That was midway through the second. The game would go into halftime with the St. Edward's Eagles leading 21-7. Eds would then come out in the third quarter, score it again. Menor would score in the third quarter. As we head into the fourth, it was 28-21, and that's how it stayed for most of the fourth quarter until there was a minute 55 left in the game when Ian Kipp found Brian Trobel running back, the great running back for Menor, from 19 yards out, tying the game at 28. And this game would go into overtime. And
What?
This is what we're talking about, regional championships
So we're
game.
talking playoffs, we're talking tight game, we're talking rematch. Now we're talking overtime.
Yes, overtime.
Come on, people.
Yeah, and then on Ed's first possession, they did receive the opening possession in overtime. It only took them 3 plays. Connor O'Malley found Joe Formani from 5 yards out to score a touchdown. The extra point was good, so it was 35-28. Then Menor took over on their overtime possession. It took 7 plays, and this was controversial because if you look at the video, Ian Kipp from 2 yards out, there's some debate on whether or not the ball crossed the plane. The referee said it did, and that ended up being a touchdown. Instead of going for the extra point, Coach Steve Trevisano, in his final year as Menor head coach, decided to go for 2 points.
You play to win the game.
Ian Kipp found Luke Floria in the end zone for the 2-point conversion and the win. As Menor defeats St. Edwards in a classic regional final matchup, 36-35.
Wow.
In this game, Ian Kipp led the Menor Cardinals with 263 passing yards and 3 touchdowns. His main target was Luke Floria. Not only did he have that game-winning 2-point conversion catch, he also added 7 receptions, 205 yards, and 2 touchdowns. For St. Ed's, they were led by Connor O'Malley at quarterback. He had 186 yards passing, and Joe Formani, the running back, 41 carries, 191 yards.
Whoa.
What an exciting game. Menor continues its undefeated season. They will play host to number 3 Pickerington Central. This is actually a rematch of the 2017 state championship game. This game will take place at Canton Glen Oak Bob Cummings Field. And the other state semifinal will have number 9 Cincinnati Elder. They are 11-2 on the year versus number 5 Springfield. They are 12-1. This one will be played at Piqua Alexander Stadium. I should go back. Menor is 13-0 on the season. Pickerington Central is 12-1. And that is your Division I breakdown of the state semifinals. And those games, again, the first game, number 9 Cincinnati Elder versus number 5 Springfield, will be take place at Piqua Alexander Stadium. Number 1 Menor will play against number 3 Pickerington Central at Canton Glen Oak Bob Cummings Field, and both of those games will be played this Friday at 7 p.m.
Great stuff, Josh. You had yourself a great game to cover there. I mean, you can't. Hats off to Menor. Down and in overtime, it takes a lot of gumption. Maybe it's a guy that doesn't have anything, left to play for in Coach Trevisano. But as I alluded to earlier, you play to win the game, and that's a tough call. That's why he's been there for as long as he's been there. He's not afraid to make those calls. And a gutsy call that paid off, which was fantastic for Menor.
That's crazy.
Not many people can say that they beat St. Ed's twice in a year.
Man.
Yeah, and you know what? Over the past few seasons, the way that Menor has become successful is they've been able to beat the private schools, the parochial schools, the powerhouses. They've been able to not only they play them in the regular season, which is a big thing to start with. That's a great level of competition. But over the past couple of years, they've been starting to beat them. I mean, this is the second year, I believe, now they beat both Eds and Ignatius, which are the big powerhouses. Even though Ignatius had a down year this year, they were still able to compete well and beat both those teams and continue on, and that has helped them right now in the playoffs. Now, I was, kind of wondering how the Menor defense, which has been dominant all year, how they were going to match up against the high-powered Ed's offense, which has been really high-powered thus far in the playoffs. And I think it was kind of an even match. There was give and take on both ends. Menor's defense gave up some big plays to the offense, but there was also some times where they maybe bent but didn't break, and they were able to get a couple turnovers. So, this is a solid, a great victory for Menor as they continue and try to achieve their dream of winning a state championship for their coach. And after the game, just looking at all the stories on local papers, all the players for Menor were really looking at their coach, looking towards their coach, and saying, we want to win this guy, win the championship for him. They want to continue to win games for him because he's just established a legacy there, and he's left his mark on a lot of players over the years, including this team this year.
Well, I mean, they're 2 games away from accomplishing that goal, and Pickerington Central out of Columbus is not an easy out by any means. As you mentioned, it's a rematch of a state championship game from 2017. These are teams that are probably have some players left over from that game, maybe being seniors, something like that. But definitely in there. And then also the other 2 teams you mentioned, Cincinnati Elder and
Springfield.
Again, those are teams. I mean, these are top tier programs. These are tough. The Division I state setup is a tough road to hoe, and it's something that you got to make sure you're playing lights out football, and also, as we saw, take some chances. I mean, you're in overtime. There's a lot on the line, and again, hats off to Coach Trevasano for making the call. I mean, he won in the game. Could have easily lost him, but it didn't, and it worked out. Now, as good as that game was, Josh, we had ourselves a genuine rematch in a Southwestern Championship Take 2 championship game, I think, from Week 1, where Avon and Avon Lake were matching up for the Division II Region 6 championship. And our boy, our friend, our compadre, our leader, Roberto Troutman, not Robot Rob, no.
He's here.
Live and in person, Rob Troutman is going to tell us who won that game.
Yeah, it was almost a little bit of the same. A very good defensive game in the first quarter. Gage Dusler, he had 28 yards. He had a nice 28-yard run, but Nick Marsh, he ended up recovering a Michael Corbo fumble. And Avon Lake, though, was hit with a penalty, a holding penalty. So Avon had the ball where Corbo then would hit Aiden Grabowski for an 18-yard gain. And that's what actually set up this 36-yard field goal by Harry Haybear. And it was 3-0 Avon Lake, this in the first quarter. In the second quarter, though, it was Avon that would get on the board, Nathaniel Vakos with a 31-yard field goal. And they had 8 plays and only 14 yards. And the key drive here was set up when Mitchell Dupress intercepted Corbo at the 47 of Avon and returned it all the way to the Avon Lake 28-yard line. So it set up the 31-yard field goal. We were tied at 3 in the second quarter in this game. Then you go to the third quarter. Well, Avon would score with a Joey Lance 58-yard run. And Joey Lance, you might know, is the wide receiver for Avon, but because of injuries, actually filled in at running back. And, Avon has been hit with a lot of injuries this season, but it didn't seem to stop him here. This was an 11-play, 94-yard drive that took 5:17 off the clock. Devin Hunter was a big piece of some of the big plays here. And Joey Lance, just a great job breaking tackles and scoring. So it was 10-3 Avon in the third quarter. We go right to the fourth quarter where Avon again hits a 25-yard field goal by Nathaniel Vakos. That was at the 5:08 mark. They went 9 plays, 52 yards, and had 440. So solid drives by Avon resulting in points, and it was 13-3. And we talked about Avon Lake's defense, and here, let's talk a little bit about Avon's defense. With all the injuries and everything, they held Avon Lake to 3 points in this game, and and this time Avon would score again, but it was a Mike Metlack 67-yard interception return. The kick was good, and Avon scored 10 points in that fourth quarter and get a 20-3 win over the Shoremen. And this was a pretty close game, though, when you look at it. Rushing Avon Lake at 211 yards, rushing to 243.
Yeah.
And Avon Lake actually had 108 yards passing. Avon only 21 in this game. And that's because Avon's quarterback was out due to injury. And instead they had to go with their third-string quarterback in this game. And, I mean, it's unbelievable what they've done. Chase Myers and they went to Joey Lance and Devin Hunter. Look at rushing. Joey Lance, 14 rushes, 122 yards. Devin Hunter, 26 rushes, 103 yards on the day. And for Avon Lake, it was Gage Dusler, who had 18 rushes, 136 yards. And quarterback Michael Corbo with 9 rushes for 56 yards. But give credit to the Avon defense, stopping Avon Lake and only allowing 3 points. Another big thing, Avon Lake, they had 14 penalties for 120 yards in this game.
Can't have that. We talked about it.
Yeah, Avon, they're missing 10 players because of injury. And no matter who they plug in here,
they seem to be working.
Everything seems to be working. And Coach Elder really has figured this out where you can just plug in and play guys, and they're not skipping a beat.
Yeah, I mean, it's great that it's working out. But, obviously, if you ask Coach Elder, I'm sure he would prefer to have his starters back and his players back. But, I mean, the fact that they're stepping up, and that's what you want as a guy running a program is next man up mentality. We talk about it all the time. It's more so, locally we've talked about it a lot over the last couple of weeks about the next man up mentality.
Yep.
And, you'd be surprised what these kids can do and putting them in the right position, but also them understanding the moment, that not letting the moment maybe consume them. It'd have been easy for them to say, man, we're in a state regional final. We got to get this out, and press. They took what came to them. They didn't chase points. They, and again, I think it speaks more to the defensive side of the ball for Avon. Scoring that last touchdown, your defense is holding, allowing them to kind of run up and down the field, but not get in the end zone, not score points. You wonder maybe if Avon Lake didn't commit 14 penalties for 120 some odd yards, where they would be, how many opportunities they would have to score. Maybe this game is a 2013, 2017 type game, but it wasn't. Avon's defense held Avon Lake in check. It was surprising to me, looking at the score. 20-3. Not knowing the context, but the way you break it down is when I first saw the score, Rob, I was maybe convincing myself that Avon Lake's defense got found out, or maybe that they exploited something that no one else saw all year. Sounds to me like it really was just in reality, it's 13 points that was allowed, overall from the defense.
Yeah.
2 field goals and an actual touchdown, and one of those came at a long pass. And then the other touchdown came off of a defensive score. So again, what we saw from Avon Lake defensively, I don't think was, too.
They still played very good.
They played
defense.
very well, yes. And Avon ran the ball, but again, we talk about it all the time. Is that now that we're in the playoffs, now that we're this deep into the playoffs, it comes down to fundamentals and execution. And if you're going to talk to Avon Lake's head coach, the first thing he'd point to, any coach would point to, is that we had 14 penalties, 120 yards. That's you can't have that. You cannot do that against a team like Avon. Injuries or no, and expect to win that game. And they didn't win that game. Avon took advantage when they could and were able to make the play. Now it's going to be interesting. I mean, now the Avon moves on to play, I don't know who they play.
They play Massillon, Washington.
So they play Massillon.
Victorious over Akron Hoban.
So that's a big test for the Avon, and you hope that
this is what it came down to last year.
And it didn't work out very well for Avon, to my understanding.
And what happened in this game was Nico Pappas was their backup quarterback, and he hurt his arm or hand. So he actually still did play defense and actually got an interception to end Avon Lake's final drive, but he was unable to be quarterback. That's when they went to Joey Lance and also Devin Hunter to run the football a little bit. Not many passes there. But still, give credit to Avon Lake. They still did play a very good game defensively. And, looking at some of these quotes, Michael Corbo said after the game that, we didn't play our best game of the year, and discipline was a huge part of it. And he said he'll take that on 100%. So, I mean, he, after the game, it's something you like to see. I mean, he's a young kid that stepped up and said, I'll take full blame. Discipline wasn't there tonight, with our penalties.
Well, I mean, obviously you look at Avon Lake, and their only 2 blemishes on their record came from the same team.
Yeah.
One at the beginning of the year and one to end the year. That's tough. I think Michael Corbo is a leader on that team.
Mm-hmm.
I think we saw a lot of leadership on that team when we watched them in person. I think they take this, they use it as fuel next year to go after Avon. And make sure and make sure that they can always point to that. Now the trick is this going to be a galvanizing thing for them? Are they going to be able to recover from this? Because you know what, a lot of these guys are going to go on, and the seniors, obviously that's a tough loss. It's a tough season ender, but you know what? Only 8 teams win win the last game of the year. You know what I mean?
Yep.
So it's tough to be. You want to be one of those 8, but unfortunately they're all in different divisions. But yeah, congratulations to Avon Lake in a really impressive year.
Yeah.
Again, tough out to lose to not just a rival, not just a comp, but like a crosstown rival. You know, you basically had 2 rivalry games in a span of a year, which not a lot of teams get. Not a lot of teams get to where Avon and Avon Lake were.
Yeah.
It's a rarity, so we should enjoy that. Speaks to the strength of the Southwestern Conference. I mean, Avon's going to carry that flag going on into the state semifinals. Hopefully they can overcome against a very good team in Massillon, Washington, who knocked off a Hoban team. I mean, that outside of Menor St. Ed's and Avon Lake, I mean, Hoban and Massillon, Washington, those are huge. That's a huge matchup. And for Massillon, Washington to pull that out and move on, and now you have a very good, you have a surprisingly good Avon team given what they're going through injury wise, and it coming at the worst time versus a very well coached Massillon, Washington team. I think that's going to be a very intriguing matchup on Friday night.
Yeah, let's congratulations to Coach Kostelnik. We've covered Avon Lake a good amount this year, and that program has really turned around what they were struggling a little bit for a few years, and Coach Kostelnik has come in there and really turned that program around. So nothing to hang your head on if you're a Shoreman out there, because they played great football. And congratulations to Coach Elder and the Avon Eagles. I mean, the Avon Eagles every single year, no matter what players they have, they are consistently good and at the top in the Southwestern Conference, which is a very competitive division.
And they're doing it through adversity right now.
Yeah, and I mean, that says a lot. And, you can never count them out no matter what. The coaching and the heart of the players, they find ways to win, and they continue on as they face number 1 Massillon, Washington. They're undefeated as well, so 2 13-0 teams. Avon is the number 4 seed here, and they'll be at Parma Byers Field, Robert M. Bolton Stadium, to take on Massillon, Washington. This game at 7 p.m. on Friday, November 29th. In Division II. And the other Division II game is number 6 Cincinnati LaSalle. They're 11-2 overall, taking on the number 2 Toledo Central Catholic. And I believe they're the Irish, if I remember correctly.
And I believe
13-0.
I believe every year we've been doing a show, Toledo Central Catholic has been either in the state Final Four or in the state finals. So.
Yeah, well, we're actually seeing a bunch of this familiar names.
Cincinnati LaSalle,
Cincinnati
LaSalle,
Elder.
Yeah.
I mean, that just proves that, not only in Northeast Ohio, but in other areas of the state, there are some powerhouses that have good programs, just as good as Menor, just as good as Avon, Eds. We all know the names, so it's fun.
And that's at Sidney Memorial Stadium.
That's going to be a fun game,
So congratulations to all these teams that continue on and won regional championships, and now they move on to state. But let's go to Sean Duffy with Division III.
Yes, sir. We're going to start off with Division III, Region 9. It's the number 4 seed, Aurora Greenman, traveling to take on Chardon, number 1 seeded. And, guys, this one got off to a crazy start if you're a Greenman fan. Here's the thing. Aurora's been playing lights-out defense all year, and within a 90-second span in the first quarter, they gave up a passing touchdown to Chardon. Their offense gave up a safety to the Chardon defense, and then their special teams gave up a 92-yard kickoff return for a touchdown.
Wow. All phases of the game.
All phases of the game.
Not doing well.
You want to talk about a punch in the mouth to the Greenmen? It happened because just like that, they were down 16-0 in the first quarter. To the credit of the Aurora coaching staff, they collected themselves, they dusted themselves off, and their defense did what they've been doing all year. That's dominating. In the second half, Aurora only held Chardon to just 68 total yards of offense on 22 actual plays, and they only scored 3 points in the second half. To the flip side, the Aurora Greenmen then scored 3 touchdowns in the second half, all because 2 of them ran in by quarterback Alex Moore, who finished 7 of 14 and 107 yards and 2 rushing touchdowns. One of them was run in by Evan McVeigh, who finished with 93 yards. Evan McVeigh also scored 2 extra points in this game, 2-point conversions in this game. Johnny Papish had 5 catches for 92 yards. Again, him and Alex Moore have been hooking up all year, been very, very positive things. Aurora, get this, guys, after being down 16-0, escapes with the regional championship, winning 22-19 over Chardon.
Wow.
It was a huge. It was a comeback like Avon really hasn't had to deal with all year. You wondered if facing a little bit of adversity early on would have kind of thrown them off their game. It didn't. Their coaches settled them down. They ended up doing very, very well with again in the second half, especially on defense. One of the calling cards for Aurora this year has been their defense. I think this is the most points they've given up. I think since last week when they played I can't think of who they played last week. But I know
either way they're
giving
up points, and that happens. I mean, when you're in the playoffs, you're going to start playing some really good teams, and you got to find different ways to win. And so far, Aurora has continued. I mean, defense was their main priority, I think, in the regular season. Now, I mean, you got to find some different ways to win games, and they still continue to do that.
Yep, and Aurora is 13-0. They move on to face Mansfield Senior, the Tigers, spelled with a Y. They will play at Macedonia-Nordonia Boland Stadium Friday night at 7 p.m. The other Division III game semifinal is number 1 Columbus Bishop Hartley at 12-1 versus number 7. I don't know if these are updated as to if they've been reseeded or not, but they're listed as number 7. Trotwood Madison at 10-3. This will be at London Bolus Field. Now, I have some experience with the Trotwood Madison Rams, and we hear them every year since we've been doing this show. I played them in high school. They're so well coached, such a great program down there. They're once again deep into the playoff run here. Columbus Bishop Hartley, they're there as well. I mean, again, we talked about it in the last division. It's been really, some familiar names that we're talking about here in the playoffs, and again, that just speaks to the greatness of the programs. And there's not a lot of wild cards or a lot of first timers in there. It's a lot of teams that have some pedigree. So, congratulations to the Aurora Agreement. They will be going to face Mansfield Senior Friday night at Macedonia-Nordonia Boland Stadium. They will be carrying the Suburban League flag out of the American Division. Hopefully, they can get a win and move on to the state championship. I hope their defense can maybe not allow all that much scoring that they did, or at least maybe spread it out a little bit. I imagine that was a 90 seconds of fury for Coach Mahalik there. But, it's one of those things. You never know when you're playing a team that you're not familiar with what they're going to do. And unfortunately, Chardon came out and played very well, but Aurora responded, and that's what you got to do in this game. And congratulations to Chardon as well. I mean, they played a very good season. They were kind of down the last couple years to make it to the regional final. Obviously disappointing, but there's always that next year, and we can go from there. So that's the Division III matchups. Once again, it's Aurora are facing Mansfield Senior, and then Columbus Bishop Hartley who's facing Trotwood Madison. In Division IV games, we're just going to kind of go over the remaining divisions, since there's 4 of them. I'm already doing it, and they're throwing hands at me like I have something else to be. Division 4, it's Newark Licking Valley versus Poland Seminary, and that will be played at Massillon, Washington, Paul Brown Tiger Stadium. And in the other matchup, it's Cincinnati, Wyoming versus Clyde at Marysville Impact Stadium. For Division 5, we have Ironton taking on West Jefferson at Chillicothe Heronston Field, and number 1 local team Kirtland trying to defend their championship against number 3 Oak Harbor. That will be at Strongsville Pat Catan Stadium. Come on out, Kirtland fans. Strongsville's waiting for you as they face Oak Harbor, who's also both teams are undefeated at 13-0. Again, those games are 7 p.m. on Saturday night. In Division 6, number 1, Anna takes on Mechanicsburg at Wapakoneta Harmon Field. And number 2, New Middleton Springfield versus Howard East Knox at Orville Heartland Field at Red Rider Stadium. Division 7, Canal Winchester Harvest Preparatory. Wow, that's a lot. Takes on number 7, Lucas. And if I can just get this to work. I don't know the other matchup there. In Division 7, of course, Maria Stein Marion Local will take on Hamler Patrick Henry at Lima Senior Stadium. That's the Division 7 game. That's it. That's all. Those are the matchups.
Yeah.
for the state semifinals, and it's looking like, guys, I got to say, our conference is well represented in the state semifinals. Hopefully they can be well represented in the state finals and state champions.
Yeah, and a lot of, like you said, a good Kirtland team going to Strongsville.
Yep.
So you might not have a team that's playing around in this area, but if you want to go see some good football, go up to Packatan Stadium in Strongsville and watch a Kirtland team that seems like they're there every single year with a lot of these teams.
Well, Kirtland, for example, I mean, they have been since 2008. Their season record, including playoffs, is 149. And let me count this: 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Plus 2 is 7. Plus 1 is 8. 149 wins, 8 losses total.
Wow.
They've had a total of 1, 2, 3, 4 state championships, a couple, 3 state runners-up, and 3 regional finalists. So you talk about a powerhouse. That's one of the, maybe they don't get the notoriety that they deserve because they are in a smaller division. It's a smaller school, but when you have something like that, we were talking about one of the names that we hear all the time, Kirtland. The names that we hear, Kirtland is up there always.
Yeah.
And I just briefly, I just want to see, I remember hearing that their record over the past 10 years has been outstanding, and proof is in the pudding right on their athletic department website. Such a great run that they've had there, an awesome program, and as we here on Sports on Tap, we wish them luck, continued success. They are 13-0 this season, obviously looking to make it another 15-0 season.
Yeah, and congratulations to them and all of the state semifinalists. I mean, listen, it's a long season. It's a long way to go, especially when you start off in August and 2 days and you're at the precipice here. You got a shot at state. You got a shot to go play for a championship, and obviously we kind of have an idea of maybe some of these teams. I actually don't know enough about who Mentor's playing to know if it's going to be, but the way Mentor's been playing all year, it's going to be hard for me to see anyone beating Mentor unless Mentor just doesn't show up. Avon's more of an X factor because, again, with the injuries, you don't know how they're going to respond. You don't know who's going to be available. How's that going to play in? For me, for the Suburban League, Aurora has been good defensively. They've been giving up a little bit more points here, but as we mentioned, the competition is getting much, much stiffer as we go along here.
Yeah, there's very little room for error now.
Right.
You're at the point now where
it's all capitalizing on errors. It's execution.
Exactly, and by this time, if you've got to this point, your execution has been great up to this point. So nothing really has changed. It's just a matter of experience in the moment and how it's going to be, how you're going to come out and perform on the big stage, because that's what it is now, the big stage.
Yeah, and really when you get down to this point in time, I mean, is weather going to be a factor? I mean, it could, but a lot of these teams, it's going to be cold.
Ohio,
everybody's got to stay warm and get ready.
It's Northeast Ohio. It's the end of November. You better be prepared for cold and snow.
But congratulations to all the teams that had great seasons.
Absolutely.
That might not be playing the playoffs now, but had great seasons overall. And congratulations to the team that continue on. I mean, like I said, Avon, Mentor, and Aurora still in it in our divisions. And good luck, guys. And, hopefully they can bring home a winner.
Yeah.
Yeah, and just a reminder, these are the last games that are going to be held in local areas or kind of a centralized area starting – next week, they're going to be played at Hall of Fame Stadium down in Canton, which is awesome since they've redone it. So it's going to be really good. Just a reminder, sportsontappodcast.com for all of our past shows, current shows, articles. YouTube, our show's going to be on YouTube a little bit here later. Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, all that good stuff. And just a reminder, we're preparing, getting ourselves ready to finish one season, but getting ready to start our next Greater Cleveland High School Hockey League. The season is slowly but surely starting to get underway.
Yeah.
We're going to be getting into some tournaments here soon. So we're going to be, after the football season, taking a little bit of a breather, composing ourselves and getting ready to hit the boards, hit the ice to cover high school hockey. We're very much looking forward to that.
Hockey vocabulary.
Yeah, and throughout the season, if you're a high school that wants to post stats or anything with your high school, pictures, videos.
Correct pronunciation of names.
Yeah, please send them to us at sportsontappodcast@gmail.com. Visit our website, sportsontappodcast.com, where we have all kinds of good high school sports information. Guys, any last thoughts so far on the regional championships? A lot of great games. It was fun to go over them, and defensively, offensively, we've seen a little more defense this year, which has been fun.
Yeah, all I got to say is I'm being biased because I've covered them all year. Go Cardinals.
Go Greenman.
Go Eagles. All right, for Sean Duffy, Ed Dick, Josh Jeffy, I'm Rob Trotman saying so long for Sports on Tap. I want to thank you for listening. Good luck this Friday and Saturday nights. I want to thank Josh Jeffy running the board, doing a great job playing our music. You want me to keep going? No, because I see him wanting to say it so bad. I got to keep going. All right. Thanks, everyone, for listening. Have a great week, everyone. See ya. Game on!
Hot mic. Hot mic.
Thanks for listening to Sports on Tap. Make sure you visit our website, www.sportsontappodcast.com. We'd also like to thank our partners, Greater Cleveland High School Hockey League, home of the Barron Cup. Z's Cream and Bean, make life sweet, eat ice cream at Z's. RRT Productions, we shoot, we edit, you win, specializing in sports recruiting videos for all high school athletes. And GV Artwork and Design, original and one of a kind.